In the University of Nigeria, where I was, the pathway to promotion and progress was clearly laid down. There was a booklet, a yellow booklet, that was, published for all to see and use. And we knew in advance how we could progress, what were the criteria for promotion from assistant lecturer to lecturer 2, lecture 1, senior lecturer, reader, and then professor. And if you are not too sure, you just go to the relevant pages and check yourself. And basically, what was prominent among criteria was the number of publications. The only thing that was not really written was that foreign publications, especially those in journals from the West, was preferred to local publications. For some specializations, obviously, like ours in comparative literature, that was an obvious fact. So we were expected to attend to all the components of our work, and we knew that lecturing was not only attending to students, writing exams, marking them, teaching, lecturing, taking care of you know, directed tutorials and practicals, but also participating in departmental, faculty, and university committees, either as a member or as a chair. And we were, that was the main thing. And what you see there was that as people progressed and made efforts to publish and satisfy their duties, they were eventually promoted, at least onto senior lecturer. Then after senior lecturer, it became more difficult because there was a numerous clauses to professorship. So to progress from senior lecturer upwards was usually very difficult, and some people might have stayed there quite a number of years. But there was no malice. Everybody knew the criteria. So eventually people progressed to professorship. And there is something that must be mentioned that people totally ignore in the West. Being a successful lecturer and publish in Nigeria was not a means fit. Most of the time we had no electricity, especially at night, in fact. So, we suffered lack of electricity, which means that if you want to study at night, then you have to either use a candle or a kerosene lamp, a lantern, and that was not perfect to work with. Secondly, sometimes there was difficulty to find petrol for our cars, so most of the time we used to trek from our homes, thankfully on the campus, to our lecture halls. The climate was also not so conducive to hard studies, because it was very hot sometimes, especially in dry season, and so you had to make efforts to combat the heat, and usually there was no air condition. So all these things, and then you add to this the problem of lack of water. Most of us had no water on campus, at best 30 minutes a day, which means that everybody had to spend time fetching water or directing the fetching of water by household. So you had to make sure that all these things were done. There were lots of things that militated against your publication. And then also, we didn't have access to the internet because of lack of electricity and fluctuating power. We couldn't make use of computers. They were there, but they were packed, boxed. And so we couldn't access the internet, we couldn't check what was being published elsewhere, uh, and also the post was very unreliable, which means that when you send an article for publication, you may wait forever. You don't know whether it has reached. Many a time you don't hear from the journals until months and months. I remember one time meeting a fellow lecturer. He was in English, I was in foreign languages, and we met on the one of the streets, and he said, "How are you?" And then he started laughing, saying that, we know, or we all know what it means. How are you? That is, are you managing to get some publications? Because that was the obsession on campus. You want to really share what you have discovered. You have to be rewarded for your efforts. Seeing a publication, and once somebody has an article published, he is so elated. I remember the first article one of my colleagues published. He was so glad. It was published in Senegal, and he showed me the the journal and said, "See, I've published." And I obviously share this joy and satisfaction and feeling good for him. And so all these things meant a lot. And also, what for me was the kind of difficulty in the job. But one thing that we knew was our system of publications and promotion was far better than the systems I've met in the UK later. There was no comparison. It was well planned, well spelled out, completely transparent. And also, there was something else. We were eventually made professors, and it meant far more than having a title and being called prof, saluted by your students. It was far beyond that, because every lecturer was expected to support the community. The community was looking at us as models, as role models, as people that would encourage them. For example, as senior lecturers or professors in languages, we were patrons to the associations of teachers in secondary schools. We were encouraging them. We used to visit them on their language days. We helped them organize their French day, for example. And also, as a professor, you become an icon for your community. The village will be proud of saying, yes, we have this number of professors. And I remember one person that I knew very well in another department. When she became a professor, she was getting accolades from all over the society. She was not just a professor in linguistics, but she was also a prominent role model among Catholic women. She was playing a major role in her parish, both on campus and in her ancestral village. She was encouraging others, and young ladies were looking, up to her, saying, yes, this is something I can achieve. I can become like, that person. And for me, that was a fantastic, system. A very warm and encouraging system, that we were part of the society, part of the community. You were not just hidden in your office. You were somebody that could make the progress of all those around you. People looked, up to you for encouragement. I remember the way the students appreciated what I offered them. I made efforts to get magazines from France, and when I was bringing them to class, everybody was really happy because they couldn't do that and they had no alternative. They had no access to internet either. So for me to bring the best to them was something that they really valued, and that was a very very joyful experience.